Hello friends, the topic of today's discussion is shoulder impingement and its pathomechanics. To understand the pathomechanics behind shoulder dysfunction, you should first understand the shoulder girdle function. And the most important part of shoulder girdle function is scapulohumeral rhythm. The motion of the scapula is synchronous with the motion of the humerus. It allows for 150 to 180 degrees of shoulder range of motion with commonly accepted ratio of 2 is to 1. Why it is called 2 is to 1 or 1 is to 2? Because 2 degrees of glenohumeral motion to 1 degree of scapular motion. Synchronous motion of scapula is necessary to maintain good length tension relationship in muscles moving the humerus. And it also helps in maintaining congruency between the humeral head and the glenoid fossa. Now in this image it is very much clear that the scapula and humerus move in 1 is to 2 ratio. When the arm is abducted to 180 degrees, 60 degrees occurs by rotation of the scapula and 120 degrees by rotation of the humerus at the shoulder joint. Now we'll see a small video regarding the same thing. In this video it is very clear that 60 degrees of motion occur at the scapula and the remaining 120 degree occur at the humerus. In the initial phase, that is the setting phase, the motion is primarily at the glenohumeral joint, whereas the scapula seeks a stable position. During the mid-range, the scapula has greater motion approaching 1 is to 1 ratio with humerus. And later in the range, glenohumeral joint again dominates the motion. Now whenever we perform full elevation of shoulder through abduction, in normally functioning shoulder joint, there is external rotation of the humerus. This external rotation is very essential for clearance of the greater tubercle through the coracoacromial arch. But in any case, when there is weak or inadequate external rotation, this may lead to impingement of the soft tissues in the suprahumeral space. Also, the dynamic stabilizers of the shoulder joint, that is the rotator cuff muscle and the deltoid. This is very much important to understand the role of these muscles to understand the pathomechanics behind impingement syndrome. The actions of the deltoid and rotator cuff muscles create a force couple that is necessary for abduction of humerus. Deltoid muscle causes upward translation of the humerus as depicted by a upward arrow in the image. And if unopposed, it leads to impingement of the soft tissues within the suprahumeral space between the humerus and the coracoacromial arch. The combined effect of the short rotator muscles means infraspinatus, teres minor and subscapularis, they cause a stabilizing compression and downward translation of humerus in the glenoid. The supraspinatus, it has a significant stabilizing compression and also slight upward translation effect on the humerus. Now, interruption of function of any of these muscles can lead to shoulder dysfunction because of microtrauma and shoulder dysfunction in the shoulder region. Now, something about the etiology of symptoms. So, the main reason for impingement is repetitive overhead swinging activities. That is, people who are involved in repetitive overhead activities such as sports persons, that is cricket player, that is bowlers, swimmers or badminton player, etc. Now why this repetitive strain or repetitive overhead activity leads to impingement syndrome? So the reason behind this is A repetitive eccentric strain to a contracting musculotendinous unit increases strain in that muscle, and when this strain exceeds the strength in the tissues, this leads to microtrauma and inflammation, leading to muscles inflammation. Then and if this damage continues and the stress exceeds the tissue repair, it eventually leads to muscle weakness and fatigue, and these weak and fatigued muscles makes the tissues vulnerable to impingement syndrome. The other important factor for impingement of soft tissues in suprahumeral space is the mechanical problems, that is, inadequate caudal glide of the humeral head or inadequate lateral rotation of the humerus during elevation. If there is inadequacy of any of these, this causes the greater tubercle to impinge against the acromion and compresses the tissue in between. The another reason can be faulty scapular posture that leads to mechanical impingement. A faulty scapular posture during humeral motions alters the mechanics of the rotator cuff and reduces its effectivity at in its stabilizing actions, and this leads to mechanical impingement problem. The other reason can be inherent laxity in capsule, which is especially seen in overhead athletes. This leads to instability at the shoulder joint, and this can give rise to impingement as a secondary effect. I hope you must have been cleared with the pathomechanics of shoulder impingement, and in the future lectures we will be discussing about the rehabilitation of conservatively managed shoulder impingement. Thank you and stay tuned and do subscribe and like my channel.